Hello everyone, welcome live to 3YTV, tonight's broadcast of the National Sim Racing Association Beer Street Journal Grand National Series from the lesser-known track, as I don't know why you might be hearing me in the background. I'll try and sort that out. Garrett, here, lesser-known track in Indianapolis.
Yeah, the short track in Indianapolis, and it's a good track choice to change things up on these guys. Everybody's used to the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but this track hasn't been used by NASCAR's Premier Series in a couple of years. I think Trucks is going back there next year, but we'll see what these NSRA Beer Street Journal drivers do with it tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I killed what was going on in the background, so sorted that all out. And it is, of course, race number 4 this season, and we have had 3 different winners so far in the opening couple of races, and of course that is the reason why tonight's poll is whether or not we're going to have a new winner at this particular racetrack. Let's see if we can bring up the current standings here in the practice session. However, just about 4 minutes left here, Garrett, and Mitchell Adams, who is not allowed to run the entire season in the number 49 machine, but is able to run a select few, currently fastest of all out there on the racetrack in the number 49.
Yeah, Mitchell was talking to the league administrators earlier today, and because this is a home racetrack for him, he wanted to race it, and he was granted that opportunity, and he's not disappointing so far, top of the board.
Yeah, top of the board in the number 49 machine. There he is, running through turns number 1 and 2. This is a very unique racetrack in Indianapolis. Of course, NASCAR used to come here back about 10-15 years ago in the run-up to the Brickyard 400. Now they don't, unfortunately. Hopefully one day they do get to go back to this racetrack, but it is very unique, Garrett, because the low line down there on the bottom side of the racetrack, below the first kind of dashed white line, you'll see Mitchell Adams go down there. It's quite flat down there, and then just above that, it's got a little bit more banking, so the drivers here tend to run the middle to upper line like what Mitchell is running right now.
Peter, this track is a predominantly high groove racetrack like you alluded to, and I think it's going to be key to not get into that wall, get wall glued, and cause a major accident. Track position is going to be very important tonight. I look for these guys who are fast to make sure they qualify up front, because when it comes down to it, I don't think they want to take the chance diving underneath someone and trying to do essentially a slide job to get a position early on in this race.
Yeah, that is for sure. Let's check out some of the other drivers out there on the scoring pylon. There is the second fastest driver in practice, the number 17 of John Cannizzaro. John Freeman in the number 05, third fastest currently. He is just about 0.03 of a second off. Fourth fastest in the number 7 machine, Garrett, sporting the Robbie Gordon looks. I know you're a big fan of Robbie Gordon yourself, running the Fruit of the Loom. Hopefully he doesn't need a pair of Fruit of the Loom underwear mid-race as he gets loose. Maybe he will, as I say that, need some of those Fruit of the Looms, but that number 7 yawn back and forth down the front straightaway. Gracias going to get all 4 wheels back underneath him here in the practice session, try and find some pace, but he is 4th fastest. Drew Eisenman not on the racetrack right now in the number 77. He is your 5th fastest. So that's the top 5 here with just about a minute and a half left here in the practice session. We thank you for joining us here in the BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series of National Sim Racing Association, as the 05 of John Freeman now having a moment with the wall in turn number 1 right there by the 3-wide TV camera. But I want to reach out to the chat here tonight. Thank you for joining on in. We got Brantley Roden in the chat saying, "Sup, stay tuned sports here tonight. What's up, everyone?" And William Kerwin saying, "I'm going to try and stay up and watch." Folks, we really appreciate you stopping on by here for tonight's broadcast. It is going to be interesting here tonight, Garrett. 150 laps, and I think patience will be one of the key words tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter, especially coming off of the short track race at the Nashville Fairgrounds. There was a lot of contact, there was some tempers, and as we head back to another short track, I'm just curious as to if any of that carries over. Let's hope not. Let's hope these guys mind their manners and get through this race the best they can.
And of course, here tonight is going to be interesting to see just how the different lines work out here. Garrett, I bring up patience because this racetrack in the past, when I've been here and driving on it myself, there's not a whole lot of room to pass. You're down there on the bottom side of the racetrack where it's extremely flat, and then coming out of turn number 2 right there, and coming out of turn number 4 on the front stretch, the racetrack just gets so narrow. It doesn't really seem like it gets much narrower, but as you carry your momentum through these corners, as we have a little bit of an accident up in front of Brady Smith, who we're right on board with right now, but the racetrack, you just carry all that momentum. The car wants to wash up the racetrack, and when you lose that momentum on the bottom side, if you're trying to stay off of another car, you back out of the throttle, you get on the brake or something, it can really hurt you. So passing here at this racetrack is extremely tough. A lot of drivers really enjoy coming here. It is a lot of fun, but in my books, it is one of the more frustrating racetracks out there. We got a couple of drivers now going out there in the qualifying session here. Garrett, there is John Cannizzaro in the number 17, just heading on to the backstretch. We'll see if he can back up his top 5 run in practice. Same thing with some of the other drivers. There is Glenn Grimm in the 08, new to the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series here today.
Glenn's been having a rough season so far, Peter. He's in a couple incidents in these first few races. He had a good practice time, and hopefully he can capitalize that with a good starting spot. Race all 150 laps and see where he hopefully end up with a good finish.
So if you're new to the iRacing simulator, iRacing.com is renowned as the most realistic racing simulator out there, and these drivers here running NASCARs, cars that are modeled as simulations off of the NASCAR Xfinity cars, and each one of these drivers here tonight running an identical car setup. The only thing that these drivers can change is the brake bias on the car as well as the steering ratio. It always puts on a really tight, close race here in the National Sim Racing Association, and a lot of drivers have been looking forward to tonight. But currently, John Cannizzaro, he did back up that practice lap times there, Garrett, currently top of the board in the 17.
I was talking to John before the race, Peter, and he told me that he feels this is his best chance to win one of these Grand National Series races this season because he's run super late models here. He's had success, and he feels like it will carry over into tonight, and that lap backs it up. So far, so good for John Cannizzaro.
So just looking around the racetrack here, we are closing in on halfway here in our pole shootout, brought to you by our friends over at craigsetupshop.co.uk. Ben Mashburn in the Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen, number 24, now heading down the backstretch in his Chevy Camaro. And he ran a little bit of an unconventional line, going all the way down to the bottom side of the racetrack. When I say the bottom side of the racetrack, you can just barely make out the painted stripes. And if you're below that first dashed painted stripe, that's where I doubt we'll see all too many drivers here tonight. But Ben Mashburn has been fast here in the past in National Sim Racing Association competition, and he is currently 11th on the leaderboard. Alexander Kerfan now out there on the racetrack, Garrett.
Alexander Kerfan, one of the fastest guys we've seen make his debut in this series. He jumped onto the scene and was immediately contending for a win. So different track type here. We'll see what he has on the short track, but I wouldn't count him out, that's for sure.
So Alexander will go 15th on the board, so definitely not finding the pace that he was needing. Drew Eisenman, he was in the top 5 in practice. He's backed that up with a top 5 run here in qualifying so far. Garrett, last week at Texas Motor Speedway, Drew Eisenman dominated that race, but pit strategy let him down, and he did not even finish inside the top 15. He's looking to bounce back here tonight, just inside the top 10 in points coming into tonight's race.
Peter, that was absolutely a heartbreaker for Drew Eisenman last week at Texas, his home state track, and the strategy just bit him. So I don't know if he feels he's owed one, but hopefully the strategy and the luck is on his side tonight, and he could jump up in the points a bit more. And just going back to last week, our race winner, Chris Darling, has not put in a practice or qualifying time, and I don't believe he's in the session. So I don't know what's going on there, but he's going to take a hit in the points as well.
Yeah, and it affects me with the pole. I expected Darling to be here tonight, Garrett, but this driver we're looking at right now, Matt Cherry, the only other driver to win a race so far this season. Big slide coming out of turn number 4, and Cherry is going to be well down the running order with that mistake, 13th, and he will shut down the Stay Tuned Sports with Jimbo podcast, Ford Mustang, as his qualifying session will not be good. Philip Scott in the number 99 out there, Garrett. He has also not put in a lap time. He's got a Tony Raines throwback scheme on that number 99 here, as he is just losing control out of turn number 4.
Philip Scott is one of the most talented drivers that I've met late in my life. Like most of you guys, they're great. Like yourself, Peter. I met you guys earlier on in my career, but Philip's one of those guys that should have won last week in a Truck Series race if it wasn't for an untimely caution. And every track that we go to, I feel like Philip is a contender to win. So maybe tonight's the night.
Yeah, sorry about that, folks. I do apologize for the cough on air, but now we will jump things over here to a little bit of a warm-up session, it does look like. So these drivers are going to get 5 minutes back out there on the racetrack and maybe feel their way around here, Garrett, with, you know, some other drivers out there, as Philip Scott here doing a little bit of a quick change in colors in that number 99. Speaking of a change in colors this week, how about Josh Sobel, the number 56? It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month now, and he will be sporting the pink all month long here in the National Sim Racing Association. Really good-looking hot rod right there.
It's a great-looking hot rod, and that same hot rod actually had a chance to win the Super Speedway race last night here in the National Sim Racing Association, and just couldn't get it done on the last lap. He went to make a block and left the bottom open, and chaos ensued. But Josh is one of those guys that no matter what series we're in, whether it's Super Speedway, this Grand National Series, or the Truck Series, he's a contender to run up front, and I don't think it'll be any different tonight.
They're just looking around the racetrack at who else is heading on to the speedway here for this 5-minute warm-up session. There's number 2 of Justin White. And Garrett, I know that number 2 was pretty excited to come here to this racetrack, Lucas Oil Raceway Park, O'Reilly Raceway Park, Indianapolis Raceway Park. It's been a little bit of everything Raceway Park over the past 20 years, but the number 2 of White will be needing to work his way through the field in his Pennzoil machine. Great run last week at Texas, Garrett. He said that was probably his best racetrack in all of iRacing. He's run really well at Texas Motor Speedway. Got that podium finish last week, and I know he was absolutely ecstatic with that run. And speaking of that run, you look at the point standings entering into tonight. Well, Matt Cherry, Chris Darling, they've locked themselves in to the chase for the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series title, but Justin White is your points leader in that number 2 machine. He's trying to get another good finish here tonight.
Justin White has done what he set out to do when he formed this series. He wanted to run these cars and have a good time, and not only is he having a good time, he's leading the points in contention every week. Last week, that finish with Chris Darling was down to the wire. Anything could have happened. He probably could have got into Chris Darling and forced his way to a win, but he raced in the right way. And another guy that tonight could be his night to get to that win and get that 0 out of the win column for the season.
Yeah, so that number 2 out there on the racetrack getting some extra practice laps in, and I think what I'm starting to see here, Garrett, is these drivers are definitely transitioning from what was at one point these drivers maybe going a little bit too hard out there, spinning around. I'm not seeing anyone spin their car around here in this practice session, so these drivers have found the limit of these cars, and now they will just get everything kind of sorted out for the race and keep the tires underneath them. They're practicing their race trim here before the start of the show. Let's go check out the chat. Say hello to everyone here tonight on 3 Wide TV. Looks like we'll have to throw kind of an audible here, as YouTube's been doing some funky things with me, folks, and I'm not the only person to hear that over the past day or so. So hopefully we can go in there. Stay tuned Sports saying Chris Darling has asked for a provisional tonight. So Garrett, that number 57, I can't remember what number he runs, is but he will take a provisional. He will not be starting the race, but he will score last place points, essentially. That's what that means.
Well, it's always tough to not have Chris Darling out there. I enjoy his personality as much as I enjoy seeing him on the racetrack. I like to harass him before, during, and after the race. So hopefully everything's all right with Chris, and we'll see him tomorrow and next week in the series. But Peter, a racing question, if YouTube will leave you alone for a couple of seconds here. you think these cars are going to get tight when they're right up behind each other? Because I don't see these guys running very tight in practice here. And I think if I was out there, I would try to get as close to somebody as possible just to see how the nose of the car reacted.
Well, I don't know if they will get tight when they're maybe tucked up behind one another, but I know they will definitely get tight when one car is beneath another car. That's just the nature of this particular racetrack. As we look at the number 9 machine here of Corey Shellman out there on the racetrack. This racetrack is not a big racetrack, Garrett, so when it comes to downforce, it's not that big of an issue. I've seen some absolutely tore up race cars finish really well here in the past on in the iRacing Simulator. So I don't think we are going to see all too much of aerodynamic push, if you will, here tonight. Looks like the session 4, the warm-up, has come to a close. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's starting lineup for 150 laps here in the Lucas Oil Raceway Park 150. Garrett, starting on the pole, will be the driver of the number 17, John Cannizzaro Jr., just pulling off that pole by 2/100ths of a second over Mitchell Adams. Then in our third position here tonight, we do have John Freeman. Great qualifying run for the driver of the 05, Brooks Westphal in the 6th. Another driver with a great qualifying run on the outside of row number 2. Drew Eisenman on the inside of row number 3 with Alexander Kerfen to his outside. Corey Shellman, Brady Smith on row number 4. Glenn Grimm and Joshua Sobel will round out our top 10 starters here tonight, Garrett.
Well, in next row we have an all-white row with Travis White alongside Justin White, the sheriff, in 12th. Matt Cherry starting deep in the field. We expect Matt Cherry usually to be up the front, starting in 13th. Alongside him is Jeffrey Vickery in the 21. Ben Mashburn, he'll be fun to watch come through the field. Alongside him is Joshua Watt in the number 20 machine. Shane Ledoux rolls off 17, and Race Clark, another guy that's been in contention for every race so far, in 18th. Ninja Phil starting in 19th position. Alongside him is Stephen Ford in the 27th. Jason Gracias likes to start at the back for some reason lately. And, well, Garrett Gleason's not in the field. Garrett Gleason's in the booth. But thank you for putting my name up there, Peter.
Well, there we go. You see all these drivers heading out onto the racetrack. They will get lined up, see if they can get some heat in their virtual Goodyear Racing tires. Here it is going to be an interesting race here tonight, Garrett. It's kind of a tough one to call when it, comes to how long this race might be. Just how many caution flags might we see here at this short track? It's kind of always up for grabs. That is for sure. The field just kind of rolling out there. There they are, and the number 17. John Cannizzaro up at the front, and I absolutely love the look of Drew Eisenman in the number 77 here tonight. That is a throwback to the Busch Grand National Series days. Remember when they used to run those Wolf cars, and that number 77 is good looking, and I'm sure he's kind of taking this as a throwback because they used to run this series back in the Busch Grand National Series, or at this track, in the Busch Grand National Series days. So it is going to be a wild one here tonight, that's for sure. Pace car headed down pit road. Green flag is in the flagman's hand, and Garrett, we are racing here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park.
The action has returned to Lucas Oil, and we will see how these two lanes work here on the start. Usually the outside lane will have an advantage, but so far so good, Peter.
Yeah, that outside lane of Mitchell Adams definitely looking strong as they head off towards turn number 3. I still think that's the line you're going to want to be in, and sure enough, looks like Mitchell is going to be able to get around John Cannizzaro and get up to the front. Josh Sobel, hearing that Sobel has had an issue, he had to start from pit lane, so he is already one lap down. We know that Sobel's dad usually checks in during these races, so we will have to keep an eye on Joshua Sobel here tonight. We do expect caution flags, however, and of course the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog is in effect here in the BearStreetJournal.com Grand National Series. Adams leads, Cannizzaro in second, and how about Brooks Westphal? He went from fourth to third there on the race start, so that outside line already starting off strong. Kerfan was also able to get around Drew Eisenman, so he picked up a spot. So everyone in the outside groove picked up one spot, but here comes Eisenman now using that high line to the outside of Kerfan. This is the battle for fifth.
this track almost has the conveyor belt like atmosphere. If you get on the line, everything just stacks up, and that seems to be what's going on here as the outside lane remains dominant. Cars in the inside lane are just going backwards, but now's the time to test out that bottom groove and see what you have for later. So I don't blame these guys for trying to make it work. We'll just see if it gets any better as the night goes on.
Yeah, that is for sure. We'll jump back up to the front of the pack. There's Mitchell Adams with a little bit of a gap now forming back to John Cannizzaro. Just kind of looking back through the field. This is the 24 of Ben Mashburn, Shane Ledoux, Jeffrey Vickery in front of Mashburn with Ledoux right behind him. Just trying to see if there are any side-by-side battles. Sure enough, here we go. This is one right here, side-by-side between John Freeman, who had a great qualifying run in third, but Garrett, the 04, has slid back here. If the 10 can make this pass thick, and oh man, they get tight coming out of turn 4. Sure enough, Brady Smith up to 7th, and your third place starter here tonight, John Freeman, now back to 8th.
John Freeman had the great qualifying run, but he's been getting passed so far. But as I believe this is his series debut, and maybe he's just filling everyone out there and see what he has at the end.
So you look down the front stretch, it is an absolute short track. There aren't many tracks that are shorter than Lucas Oil Raceway Park on any schedule here in the iRacing Motorsports Simulator. Looking a little bit further back, we got to get a quick look of this side-by-side action. Race Clark, the driver hailing from Nashville, Tennessee, he has Jason Gracias underneath him. And Garrett, we mentioned the fact that this racetrack is one that's extremely difficult to pass at. Going to be, contact between Clark and Gracias, and Clark saves it, as does Gracias. We stay, green flag. I was just about to say, this is going to be a tough track to pass that for Gracias. Well, now he has to do it all over again as he just lost all that track position.
Jason Gracias, the veteran that he is taking these opportunities in the series to start at the back and work his way through, have some fun. And there wasn't much fun about that. Maybe the save was a bit fun, but when you lose that much track position, you can't be happy inside the car, as we're watching the replay of what happened between these two. Yeah,
they kind of like yo-yo back and forth, and as they get towards turn number 1, Gracias here, this must have been a lap prior to when they actually made contact. So let's see if maybe we can...
Caution's out, Peter.
Okay, caution is out. So we will can that, and we will see what the caution flag is for. Maybe we can get a better replay of that queued up. This is the 27, Stephen Ford, racing with the number 99 of Philip Scott. So this is the first caution flag of the night. Joshua Sobel will be our lucky dog. Ooh, coming out of turn number 4. Looks like Scott washed up the racetrack. Good job there by Stephen Ford to hold the brakes, and he will get things back rolling without a whole lot of damage, but he will lose quite a bit of track position. So let's see if we can go back and maybe figure out what happened to Jason Gracias here and Race Clark as they were racing for the 16th position. The 0-2 to the outside of Clark and Gracias. Let's slow this down, and I don't know if Race Clark clipped the wall there or whether or not that was some funky neck code there, Garrett, but it seemed like there might have been a little bit of space between the two. And then both of those drivers going for a good old drift into turn number 1. And Race doing a good job of saving it, as did the number 1. I don't think there was any intent in that contact.
No, certainly no intent there. It was just a very weird-looking circumstance that got these guys together in the first place, but they did an incredible job of hanging on to it.
We'll see if the onboard from Race Clark can tell us anything more here. Just coming down the front stretch, there might have been a little bit of contact there with Race Clark. Might have just bounced him off the wall, but just kind of kept his foot in it and kept going. So the National Air and Space Administration 02 going down to Earth and then coming way back up the racetrack. So he will get things pointed in the right direction, I'm sure. Let's see if we can get another look here, Garrett, of that contact, though, between the 99 and the 27. That put us under caution for the first time here tonight.
Peter, the weird thing when I first saw this is the lack of momentum that the 27 had on the high side that Philip was even able to get into him. Usually that top side will pull right away, but I think you called it right the first time. It just looks like the 99 drifted up into the 27.
Yeah, and I'm sure the number 99 might have been expecting Stephen Ford to just be a little bit higher up the racetrack as well. Let's get another look at this one from high atop the 3-wide TV blimp. Just look at how far the 27 was away from the outside wall. I just don't think Philip Scott was expecting the 27 to be that far down the racetrack and just didn't manage his momentum quite right, and they make a little bit of contact, and unfortunately that linear momentum turned into angular momentum on the number 27 threat level Midnight Chevy Camaro, but he will get back rolling with minimal damage, and hopefully we can get back rolling under green flag situations here quite soon as we are back live and the iRacing pace car lights continue to twinkle out front, but we are now 10% of the way now into tonight's Lucas Oil Raceway Park 150 here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. And Matt Cherry, for the people who voted no, whether or not we'd have a new winner here tonight, your sole horse in the race is Matt Cherry. And that number 54 machine back there, Garrett, he has only gained one spot since the drop of the green flag.
Peter, he was struggling a little bit in practice. It didn't seem like the Matt Cherry that we're used to out there. So I don't know if he has many laps on this track. It might take him a while to get to the front tonight. I think he's out there with his notebook, he's learning, and he's saving it all for later. But I don't expect him to be in the top 5 immediately here, Peter, if at all tonight.
So good news is the field is doubling up here for the restart. Mitchell Adams early on the loud pedal in the number 49 machine, watches the lane change, finally comes up in front of John Cannizzaro. Look at Drew Eisenman in the number 77 going around the outside of Brooks Westfall. He will now be up into third, so the driver who led the most laps by far last week at Texas Motor Speedway may be looking for a little bit of revenge this week. Now up is, oh my goodness, that was one car going up and over, and we have the big one here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. My goodness, Travis White in the 23 almost went up and over there, Garrett.
Travis White has been having a really good season as far as being in contention, and it looks like he just had everything go wrong in this corner.
So this is the run up to... Let's see what happened here. Ooh, the 08 got loose. Maybe, did the 08 get into the 10 there, Garrett? And then the 10 got into the 23. And then, Matt Cherry, 2 wins to his name. And the 54 gets into it. And the 23 gets launched like a pole vaulter. And then it was on from there. Got other cars getting involved in this. Jason Gracias in the 1. Does he get run over? Yes, he did by... the number 20 back there of Watt. So a lot of these cars getting some pretty big damage. Good job by Joshua Sobel to work his way through that. But Ben Mashburn damaged the 2 of Justin White. Your points leader damaged in this scuffle as well.
That was one of the bigger accidents I've ever seen on this sim on a short track, Peter. That a lot of good cars were caught up in that. And like you alluded to, Joshua Sobel did a tremendous job getting through there with no damage, at least from our point of view. As we're looking at this one more time, I think the 08 started this chain reaction off.
It's like, did the 08 get to the 10? I don't know. I mean, obviously the 23 was fairly low on the racetrack there compared to some of the other drivers. Was he pinching the 10 down? It's kind of hard to tell. And then look at Justin White almost coming to a complete stop. There's Jeffrey Vickery in the maroon 21. Involved in that, and then we'll put it back to full speed. Look at Race Clark zigzagging his way through there. I'm sure he will be pretty happy with the way he worked his way through that scuffle. Let's see if we can go on board here with the National Air and Space Administration 02 as he navigates his way through the mess coming down the backstretch. It's all going to kick off right about now. And he sees the car spinning ahead, gets on the brakes. Just oh my. Garrett, he slalomed his way through that mess.
Peter, I don't know what any of these big words are that you're using, but he did a tremendous job getting through that accident. And it's like that fight or flight mentality as you're coming through there. Either I need to stop immediately or I need to go for it. And he went for it and he pulled it off because this is a helpless feeling. You feel like there's no way you're getting through. And my goodness, what a drive by Race Clark to fight another day.
Yeah, that is one way to put it. Let's see if we can go on board with Josh Sobel here and see if we can see what happened to the number 56 on his way through. Probably not quite as... my goodness. You can see Race Clark with his big moment right in front of him. Sobel maybe a little bit less exciting, but nonetheless still fairly exciting. Here we go on board with Shane Ledoux. We'll look out front here and watch how quickly this track gets completely clogged in front of the number 12 machine. Cars get loose there, and all of a sudden they start bouncing down the racetrack. All things considered, Ledoux did just about all he could to stay out of that, unfortunately getting a piece with the number 99 machine out there. And we do have quite a few drivers who have elected to come down pit road. Meanwhile, believe it or not, we have gone back green, and something has happened up at the front of the field. I can't believe we missed that that restart, but something must have happened there because the field is completely broken up. It looks like they're on lap number 20, not lap number 3 of a run. We're doing a good old fox and missing the replay of the race restart. And something must have happened here with John Cannizzaro and Drew Eisenman. And Cannizzaro comes down into the nose of the 77. So that is why the field got all broken up. But Cannizzaro saved it. And that was right there on the initial restart. So, Garrett, I will say that between the 77 and the 17, there is a little bit of bad blood going back to a race back at Watkins Glen once upon a time. But I don't think there was any malicious intent in that. If anything, it looked like Cannizzaro might have come down the track there.
Yeah, it just looked like one of those deals that happens on a restart. And there's always a winner and there's always a loser in these sort of deals. And John Cannizzaro definitely lost that battle. And Drew Eisenman used it to his advantage and is up in second place, about a second behind the leader. And we'll see if he can start leading some laps like he did last week at Texas.
So already a very interesting start to the race, and we're only 25 laps into the 150-lap feature race here tonight on 3Wide TV. Want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here on 3Wide here tonight as the 49 and Mitchell Adams is scooting away from Drew Eisenman. We do know, Garrett, we were told about 50 or so laps on fuel, so that would put these drivers in the window to make just 2 pit stops here tonight at this racetrack. As Philip Scott says hello to the 3Wide TV camera. Just might have been scraping the wall up there in turn number 1 and 2. So we will see. We expect the pit window to open in about 21 laps or so, as Cannizzaro now has a look to the inside of Corey Shellman, trying to get back a couple of spots that he lost on that restart.
Cannizzaro pulling off the third track inspired slide job there to get that position back. And Peter, I think your observation earlier on about these vehicles being beat up and able to have a good finish is going to apply to a lot of the cars in this race. I saw Jason Gracias back there continuing on with no rear end on his car, and I'm sure there's other guys with equally or more damage that are still going to put themselves in a position for a top 5 or 10 finish as we go on.
Yeah, that is for sure. Now, speaking of which, we do want to make mention that 3 drivers have pulled their cars off of the racetrack after that last accident. Matt Cherry in the Stay Tuned Sports podcast machine has retired his car. Travis White in the Carolina Tar Heel Blue number 23 is still on pit road getting damage repairs, as is your points leader entering tonight, Justin White in the number 2 machine. So he is well back there in the pack. Now, here is Race Clark in the 0-2. Just got passed there, I believe, by Joshua Sobel for the 10th position. So Sobel, who let us know, Garrett, at the top of the race, the reason he had to start from pit road is he had some connection issues in the number 56 machine, dropped him 1 lap down. He did pick up the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award, got himself back onto the lead lap, and now finds himself in the top 10. We do have his father in the chat here tonight, Rich Sobel, saying that he's got a new look on the 56. Sure enough, he does. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We know Josh always paints his vehicles pink in the month of October, and he says, Brantley Roden saying, the number 56 is painted by Brantley Roden, and got the harpoon designs on the side of the number 56 as well, right there on the tail end of the 56, and a really good looking hot rod. I really have been impressed with the paint schemes on a lot of these cars here this season, including the paint schemes that you see on the number 56 of Josh Sobel here, Garrett. But things getting a little bit single file. Mitchell Adams up to about a second lead on Drew Eisenman up at the front of the field, but pretty much single file for the rest of the pack. But as I say that, here comes the number 17 of John Cannizzaro looking to the inside of another John Freeman. This is the battle right now for 5th.
Peter, I think we might want to leave the camera on these three guys as they sort it out, because it appears this is where the action is going to come from. John Cannizzaro is not one to take it easy early on in the race, and if he thinks he could pass these guys, he's going to use up the entire track and maybe his competitors to do so. As we have a McLovin sighting on the hood here, Peter. And
McLovin is in the wall. Hopefully he's not McLovin that outside wall. He's no longer McLovin 5th spot either, because he's now slid back, to the 6th position. Cannizzaro did pick up that spot in that little bit of a snafu for the 0-4. Of course, John Freeman did start this race in 3rd. Now he finds himself well back in the 6th position. But Kerfan right here, he, on the other hand, he started in 6th. Now he's up to 4th, but still trying to hold on to John Cannizzaro, who has another look to the inside. And I've just been so impressed with the way, Garrett, that the 17 of Cannizzaro, he backs up his corner, rotates the car off the right rear. You see him get that car, he backs up his corners, pitches it down to try and get a strong run off to see if he can draw level with the car in front of him, because that's really the only way you're going to get to pass here, is if you can either force the car in front of you into a mistake, which Kerfan almost did there, taking off the paint on the right side of the number 30, is the only other way is to draw level with them on entry and then try and pull off a slide job like we saw him do about 10 laps ago or so from this moment right now, in fact. So that number 17, we know he's fast, but he's got a couple of cars in front of him if he wants to get back to Drew Eisenman. Could we see some retaliation here tonight, or do you think Cannizzaro says, you know what, there was that race back at Watkins Glen, let's just call it even between him and the number 77 of Drew Eisenman? I don't know. You can't get in the head of these drivers as we close in on lap number 50.
Certainly can't get in the head of these guys, and I certainly don't want to get in the head of these guys, especially John Cannizzaro. But John is very young, he's very talented, and he's constantly learning. And like he said, this is his best track, or one of his favorite tracks. And I think all that knowledge is helping him out there try to make these passes. But I'm just not sure his tires are going to hold up, Peter, if he keeps diving to that bottom lane and using them up.
Well, I mean, you think about it here, Garrett. They might be on pit road here very shortly, because we did hear here tonight that about 50 laps is about all you can go on fuel. We're closing in on that mark. That's why I wanted to make note of that. But Cannizzaro got to the inside of Kerfan, and he is going to pull off the pass here coming out of turn number 4. So move the number 17 back up into 4th. He finds himself a couple of seconds now behind the number 6 in front of him. But that battle for the 4th position is no longer Cannizzaro, who started on the pole here tonight. In fact, the poll brought to you by our friends over at craigsetupshop.co.uk. But Cannizzaro here going to probably turn some really quick laps to try and close in on Brooks Westphal, who has himself a quiet 3rd place. Good job so far. He's trying some different lines as well, trying to exit the corner low. Maybe trying to find a little bit of pace there on that inside groove, at least on exit of these corners.
Brooks has shown himself to be a consistent driver in these few races we've had so far this season. And right now it's very peaceful where he's at, running in 3rd. See how this first run goes when it comes to pit stops, if they're under green, and we'll see where he shakes out. But right now, no pressure on the number 6, and he's making some good lap times.
And we just saw there Jason Gracias, who has a really beaten up rear end after being involved in some contact earlier. He just made the pass on Brady Smith. Now we're looking Race Clark and the number 21 of Jeffrey Vickery They get tight on exit of turn number 4, so Vickery had to back out of it. So the National Air and Space Administration here battling with the threat level Midnight number 21. You see Joshua Sobel just up the road in front of him. Sobel is the 10th place car, which is exactly where he started the race here tonight. We're also getting word, ironically, that the two whites, there's Travis White and there's Justin White, both of those drivers coming back out onto the racetrack many laps down after being involved in the big accident around lap number 18 here tonight. But there is your race leader, Mitchell Adams. And if we look at that gap back to the number 77 of Drew Eisenman over the last 5 laps there, Garrett, it's stayed pretty steady, just at about 9/10 of a second or so.
Yeah, pretty steady there, Peter. It looks like there are some lap cars up ahead. Whether or not they'll get there before pit stops start, I expect with all the yellows we had for these guys to be able to make it into the 60s on fuel. But we'll see if these lap cars give these leaders the groove they require to keep making these good lap times. But if they don't, you never know. Drew might close the gap and there'll be a battle for the lead.
So just looking out there on the racetrack, probably the best battle for position right now is between Jason Gracias and John Freeman. This would be the battle for 6, as Gracias, who started so far back in the pack, Garrett, we were saying he's going to struggle to work his way up as well after having contact there with one of his competitors earlier in the show. But Gracias is doing well here, solidly now inside the top 10, trying to get 6th away. We know Gracias is capable of getting the job done here in the National Sim Racing Association, and he is having a heck of a run, because the car right in front of the 04 is Alexander Kerfan. That would be for the 5th position, so Gracias definitely showing some muscle here in the Force India inspired number 1 machine. If you're a fan of Formula 1, you would know Force India was a Formula 1 team. And now Gracias dives to the inside, a little bit of a slide for the number 1, trying to find some grip down there. Garrett, doesn't look like this time will work out for the number 1.
I'm a little disappointed in Jason Gracias tonight, Peter, because before the race he usually sends us what beverage he's sipping on or partaking in before the race, and he didn't tonight. So head over to BeerStreetJournal.com and maybe pick out yourself one and share it with us, because Jason let us down.
Yeah, of course, BeerStreetJournal.com, the league sponsor here in the National Sim Racing Association Grand National Series. It is a blog for craft breweries all across the nation, so make sure you check out BeerStreetJournal.com as we see Jason Gracias and John Freeman. They almost made contact the lap before. In fact, they might have had a little bit of neck code contact, but looks like Freeman going to make that pass thick out of turn number 2, so move Gracias now up into 6th, as he's going to try and run down the car right in front of him for a top 5 spot. Meanwhile, Brooks Westphal and John Cannizzaro, this is the battle here, Garrett. This is for 3rd right now. Cannizzaro has caught Brooks, so Westphal going to be running right up there, rim riding on that high side. Cannizzaro down there kind of in the middle side of the racetrack, once again getting some really good rotation through the center of these corners. Can he make that pass thick? Can he pull off the slide job here? No, he cannot, but can Westphal get the power down early and kind of power off, keep that momentum up out of turn number 2? They're going to be side by side here off into turn number 3, and I think Cannizzaro finally has made his way back up to 3rd. However, he is about 7 seconds behind Drew Eisenman up at the front of, up in 2nd, excuse me.
Peter, not to take anything away from Westphal, but that pass and the run John Cannizzaro is having back through the field is nothing short of impressive. I did not think he would have the tires to be able to do this late in the run.
Remember that gap we were talking about between Mitchell Adams and Drew Eisenman and how it was staying kind of constant at about 9/10 of a second? Well, it is now ballooned up to about 2 whole seconds between the 49 and the number 77, but I'm sure Eisenman will be happy to find out that he has 7 seconds on John Cannizzaro out back. But things right now just kind of settling in, as we've had a long green flag run now, which is always good to have here on 3 Wide TV. The field to kind of get settled out. Here we go, battle for the 10th spot between Josh Sobel and Race Clark. The Harpoon design, number 56, and the 02 of Clark trying to do battle here, as they also are closing in on Brady Smith, who is running in the 9th position right now. So this battle really kind of accordion on together.
There's a lot of guys out there tonight, Peter. They're having a nice, consistent run here in this first, I don't want to call it a stage like NASCAR does, but the first stage of this race, before the first pit stop. And I think for these guys, it's going to be key to just make your pit stop, no mistakes, stay on the lead lap, and when the yellow comes out later, if it does come out, that'll be your chance to make up some more spots. But right now, keep doing what you're doing. You're consistent, you're staying clean, and that's all you can really ask for. There's a lot of race left.
Yeah, there is a lot of race left as well for the number 1 machine of Jason Gracias, who continues to pick up positions. He's now up into 5th, 16 spots ahead of where he was at the drop of the green flag. Has caught Brooks Westphal as well. That is for 4th between Westphal and Gracias. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if Gracias might have something for John Cannizzaro as well. As we're getting word right now, we go back to that battle that we were just talking about a minute or so ago. Sobel to the inside of Brady Smith and Race Clark coming on through. This is a great battle for position here, Garrett, because Sobel pulls off the pass on Brady Smith. Now Race Clark has a look to the inside of Brady Smith, but now here comes Jeffrey Vickery, that 21 gets around Race Clark. So we got 4 cars all in the line here from 9th back to 12th.
Yeah, Race looked under there with Josh Sobel to try to pass Smith, and it just so happened he lost his momentum and he ended up losing a couple spots, but we have a caution out there, Peter. Caution,
caution, caution, and there is the reason for the caution. Looks like the number 12 of Shane Ledoux has gone around here. Let's see if we can figure out what happened here on the 3-wide TV replay. The number 12 here, who had just gone a lap down, he's kind of in the thick of some lead lap traffic here, and Brooks Westphal in the number 6 underneath him, and Ledoux, contact with the one of Gracias. Gracias gives him a little bit of contact in the left rear, and again, linear momentum turns into angular momentum, and Shane Ledoux into the inside wall. Let's see if we can get a look at that one from the blimp cam, as all of your leaders are on pit road. We will not take as long under this one. I expected a lengthier caution that last time, especially with how long the first caution was here tonight. But let's see if, just a little nudge there by the 1 on the 12, and unfortunately, Ledoux gets the bad end of that stick. He was already 1 lap down, so kind of a insult to injury there for the 12 of Ledoux.
His misfortune is going to be fortunate for a lot of these guys. You don't have to pit under green. This pit exit is very tricky from what I learned in practice from some of these guys. So everybody's going to take this opportunity, come down, get your 4 new tires, and stay on schedule for the rest of the race. So one bad break, and good luck for everyone else.
Yeah, so the race off of pit road, you see some of these drivers having extended stays on pit road, maybe to get some damage repaired. And others off of pit road very quickly, but that is going to cause us to have to reset the field here for all you folks back at home. We want to say thank you for joining us here tonight on 3-Wide TV. Rich Sobel in the chat saying it is pit time. Sure enough, it is. Some good racing out there here tonight, and almost a 50-lap run here between caution flags. Hopefully we can keep that up here and get some good green flag side-by-side action amongst the field. Mitchell Adams in the number 49 machine did not start this race on the pole, brought to you by our friends over at craigsetupshop.co.uk. However, has led every single lap here tonight in that number 49 Adams Racing Chevy Camaro. So things looking good for him. Drew Eisenman second, John Cannizzaro third, Kerfan and Gracias your current top 5. As we'll see whether or not those iRacing pace car lights get extinguished. They do not. So we will go an extra lap here. And Garrett, we're closing in on the halfway mark. What are your thoughts of the first half here tonight in the NSRA BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series?
Well, Peter, as usual in the series, we have a lot of action. We had a big accident, which was, I'm sure, exciting for some people, not exciting for others. And we've had a tremendous green flag run in the short track. Seems like nobody has anything for Mitchell Adams so far, but these guys all came down. They have 4 new tires, and maybe we'll have a whole new race. But if I know Mitchell, he doesn't want anyone else to lead a lap out there tonight at his home track.
Yeah, Mitchell was very excited to be in this field here tonight. We did mention it at the top of the show that he's not allowed to run the entire season because of the fact that his I rating is above 3,000. And that is the league cutoff. And so Mitchell, who was a double series champion in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, is no longer eligible to run full-time here in the National Sim Racing Association. However, he is permitted to run a couple of one-off events, and he's doing that here tonight. Green flag back in the air, and he is our race leader going off in turn number 1. Looks like Drew Eisenman and William Kerfon there side by side. That is the battle for second. Looks like Eisenman going to win that race. Onto the backstretch as everyone heads towards turn number 3.
Interesting to see Mitchell take the outside in that restart, because the restart prior to that he took the inside and cleared, I believe it was Cannizzaro, and then made his way off of the lead. So interesting that he learned that potentially on the last restart and used that to his advantage, as we have some great battles going here deeper in the field.
Yeah, this is a little bit further back. Corey Shellman, the number 9 machine, is calling his own number right now in 9th. We're keeping our eyes on Brady Smith, who ironically is also calling his own number there in 10th. Race Clark side by side with Phillips Clark back behind them. And now it looks like Glenn Grimm is sneaking into the picture, has breast cancer awareness scheme on the 08 as well. Great to see that, as he almost gets into it with Philip Scott coming out of turn number 2. But they now go kind of all single file. Looks like this is probably the best battle for any position on the racetrack right now, up towards the front between Alexander Kerfon and John Cannizzaro. We know Cannizzaro has a lot of pace. We are now just 3 laps away from seeing the cross flags here tonight at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Kerfon getting maybe a little bit sideways there in between turn number 3 there, Garrett, as we see a little bit of smoke on the front stretch as well. I'm hearing that maybe Glenn Grimm has had a little bit of moment. Let's see if we can see that here on the 3Y TV replay.
Yeah, Peter, I was just going to try to grab your attention. I saw a car getting sideways. I believe it was out of 4, and as we see, the smoke was there. So let's see what happens.
Glenn Grimm working his way through turn number 3 and 4 right here. And yeah, just loses it all by himself. Back end starts to come out. He slides it almost to a halt on the front stretch. The green flag stayed in the air because he was off the primary racing surface. So looks like the 08 will be well down in the field. In fact, the 08 right now being scored down in 15th, the last car on the lead lap. Shane Ledoux in the 12 is the first car 1 lap down in the lucky dog position. He's the only driver currently being scored 1 lap down. Joshua Watt in the number 20 is multiple laps down. So the Canadian driver in 17th would need quite a few more Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Awards to get himself back on the lead lap. And then Justin and Travis White, both of those drivers many laps down, still circling, however, on the race track. So I got to say, Garrett, if you're one of those drivers a little bit further back in the pack, multiple laps down, you know, you're being resilient staying out there on the racetrack. But how about this battle right now for third, as Cannizzaro sends it deep into turn 3 and looks like he's got third position back.
Yeah, Jack Cannizzaro, only a couple more spots to go for him to get back to where he started on pole, even though he didn't get the lead a lap, and that's probably bothering him right now. But we need a Cannizzaro cam, Peter. There's always action everywhere he goes.
Speaking of the John Cannizzaro cam, here we go on board with the number 17 of John Cannizzaro. You can look at the wheel inputs on that number 17 machine as he works his way here down the front stretch. And Garrett, I think a lot of people at home probably watching this right now are probably surprised with how short these front and back stretches are here. I mean, you are going through a corner more than you are going straight here at this racetrack. At least that's what it seems like. Cannizzaro cutting down to the bottom side of the racetrack here, now down the front stretch, and then before you really get comfortable, you're working your way into turn number 1 and 2, or turn number 3 and 4, vice versa, whatever. This racetrack really asks a lot out of these drivers.
Yeah, Peter, this is one of those places where you don't feel like you have time to breathe almost. You're always turning, you're always working that wheel, And like you said, before you know it, you're in another corner, and you're this close to the wall every lap. It's a crazy racetrack, and as you can see out there, it puts on a heck of a show.
We're looking at this battle now between Brooks Westfall and Jason Gracias. Gracias, who had cracked the top 5, lost a couple spots in his pit stop. We think that might have been him trying to get a little bit of that damage repaired on the number 1. However, Brooks Westfall in the number 6 had a great pit stop, and so Westfall continuing to back up his solid run in the Pennzoil Ford Mustang. He's definitely going to win the battle between the Pennzoil cars unless something bad happens to him, with Justin White having his troubles here tonight. As now John Freeman in the McLovin number 4 looks to the outside of Jason Gracias. You kind of have to be careful what you wish for here, Garrett, with these two lines racing so separately. If you can kind of get freight trained at times here if you're in the wrong lane.
Absolutely, and as we saw earlier, sometimes when there's nowhere to go, and then that's where the contact happens, and you might not even be the primary source of the contact, and you'll get caught up in it. So as these guys catch each other, you have to make the decision pretty quickly if I'm going to try to go underneath and slide up, or if I'm going to try to go on the outside if there's any room. As we watch Philip Scott using an unconventional groove here.
Yeah, Philip Scott in that number 99 machine back there running behind Brady Smith and Corey Shellman. In fact, Shellman and Brady Smith have both lost positions to the 0-2 of Race Clark, who now finds himself up in 9th. I think Race is inside the top 10 for the first time here tonight. We saw a ton of pace out of Race Clark back at Nashville Fairgrounds at his home racetrack just a couple of weeks ago, but it didn't work out in the end for the 0-2 machine. But here tonight, I think he's starting to figure out the racetrack, Garrett. That's something that the 0-2 machine might have struggled with under that first run, but you can kind of tell he's just following these other drivers around, and he's figuring it out. He's on pace now with Josh Sobel, John Freeman, some of these drivers who really were faster than him at the drop of the green flag, but Race is sticking with it and trying to come away with a good finish here tonight after Texas Motor Speedway did not go to plan. A similar strategy to Drew Eisenman. We saw what happened back at Nashville Fairgrounds. We missed that on the broadcast, but he slid back to outside the top 10, so he really needs a strong run in the NASA machine here tonight. So far, so good inside the top 10, and still plenty of laps for him to work his way up towards the top 5. But this is the best battle for any spot on the racetrack as Brooks Westfall works his way around the damaged the number 2, the damaged number 2 of Justin White. As Westfall gets loose coming out of turn 2, does that open the door for Gracias off into turn number 3? Maybe it does. Gracias sends it down in there. They're going to be side by side here, Garrett.
Yeah, you can't blame Jason Gracias for taking that opportunity to try to make a pass. As we've seen tonight, passing is pretty difficult. He had the opportunity due to the lap car of Justin White, who is doing nothing wrong. He's racing for a championship. He's out there getting as many points as possible. And it looked like we just had Race Clark meet the outside wall a little bit there, Peter.
Yeah, that works against what we've been saying about Race Clark, but he's still sticking onto the back of this battle. Technically, this is the battle for 5th, and it's between 5 cars. Is Gracias gonna really send it into turn number 1? Is he able to get the power down? Looks like he is. So move Gracias now up into 5th. That's where he was before that last caution came out. And here comes John Freeman now knocking on Brooks Westfall's door as well. As you see at the bottom of your screen, Alexander Kerfon getting around the Canadian driver Joshua Watt. That number 20 definitely is damage-stricken as well. We got a couple of those cars out there, unfortunately, here tonight after having a big accident right around lap number 18. If you missed it, go back, rewind it. That's one of the great things you can do here on YouTube that you can't do on other... Man, that was tight there between Freeman, Watt, Westfall, and Watt. It looks like Freeman just able to kind of work his way through this lap traffic. Is now Freeman and Westfall side by side for the 6th position, I do believe.
Yeah, Westfall's falling victim to losing a little bit of momentum as he got passed by Gracias, it seems like, and now when you're out there, it's a helpless feeling as Freeman gets sideways there, and maybe I spoke too soon. Westfall gets his position back and can focus on what's ahead of him and not have to worry about the 0-4 for at least a couple more laps.
One of my one of the banes of being a commentator is saying something and the opposite happening. I mean, it's like being a weatherman, you know? You could say, oh man, John Freeman's going to make this pass. No, he isn't. I mean, that's just one of those things. You just have to live with it. You have to suck it up. And you just have to commentate what's going on out there on the racetrack. You make yourself look like a dummy sometimes. Meanwhile, Jason Gracias has pulled away from that battle back there, and he has absolutely run down, Alexander Kerfan here, as Kerfan in the number 30 is circling in the 4th position. They have a big gap of about 4 seconds up to John Cannizzaro, another 2 seconds up to Drew Eisenman, who is kind of keeping tabs on Mitchell Adams back about 9/10 of a second, right about where we saw that gap under that first run. But this being the first battle inside the top 10 for position, we'll keep our eyes on this, as well as kind of at the back of that group, this pack right here, led by Westfall. Sobel now finds himself up to 7th. I think that's the highest we've seen Josh Sobel all night long. And Race Clark in 8th. That's definitely the highest we've seen Race Clark. So these drivers definitely starting to figure out this racetrack here as we close in on 50 laps to go, just 5 laps from now.
Peter, and I hate to keep giving you credit, but this is where your observation from before, where you said, okay, he's taken the early part of this race and followed some cars and figured this out. I think all these guys in this group have been doing that, and they're so evenly matched, and that's why we're having such a great battle out there. As they move forward, it seems like one place at a time as a group, but we get constant battles because they're constantly fighting each other for those one spot here and there.
And here comes Sobel looking to the inside of Westfall. Westfall might have clipped the wall there, and that will easily get that spot to Josh Sobel, although Westfall says, hey, buddy, not so fast. I'm going to look underneath you. And now Sobel gets up into the wall, and Race Clark, they make contact, and there's nowhere for Freeman to go, and they're around here on the front, in turn number 3 and 4, caution flag will wave. And Sobel, he's not going to lose a ton of track position. That's the good news for the driver of the number 56 machine, but he is going to lose some. Let's see if we can figure out what happened here on the 3-wide TV camera. Let's go up to the blimp here, Garrett.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's net code, and definitely contact made, Peter, whether it be through the game or an actual contact, and they both start going sideways after Josh gets into the wall here, and then we have some innocent bystanders making their way into this.
Yeah, Race Clark, first one on the scene, and the second time here tonight we've seen the 0-2 go absolutely drifting through the corner. Curry Shellman doing a great job of working his way on through. Unfortunately, John Freeman into the side of the number 56. Let's see if we can get another look, because let's see if we can go on board here with the number 6 machine. Let's jump on board with him right here. I think there was just a little slight nudge, and it just unnerved the 56 machine. And Sobel, unfortunately, went around, and that brought out the caution flag. Let's jump back live because we have leaders on pit road, and Mitchell Adams is going to win that race off pit road. Who's going to be second? Looks like Eisenman will beat the 17 of Cannizzaro off pit road. Kerfan will be 4th, 5th off pit road, Jason Gracias. So they pretty much hold station back there. But let's get one more look of that that accident that brought out the caution here, and let's see if we can just get maybe get a slightly different look of it here. Let's see if we can get on board. Yeah, let's go on board with Brooks Westfall. Let's slow it down here, and right there, yeah, there was definite contact. Let's back it up, back up the 3-wide TV replay. Watch the left side of that. Look, you can actually see the damage happen to the 56 machine. You just see it crinkle up just a smidgen, and that's what brought the 56 to terms with the outside wall. Let's see one more time. That's the contact right there, and the 56 definitely gets unnerved, and you can actually, we'll see if we can go on board with Sobel. Here we go, on board with Sobel. Watch the hands here, Garrett, when that contact happens as they head off towards turn number 3.
Yeah, Peter, definitely got a lot more wheel there than he was expecting, having to use a lot more wheel than he was expecting. I'm just curious. I obviously don't think that was intentional. I think he was just setting him up for a pass, a crossover move. But when Josh passed the 6 before that, I don't think he made any contact. Are we 100% sure on that?
Yes, I believe so. But Race Clark going through the grass with a really big slide in his machine for the second time here tonight. So let's jump back live as the iRacing pace car lights, do they go off? Yes, they do. So we will be going back green flag here, this time by here in the National Sim Racing Association, BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series. We really appreciate each and every one of you joining us here on YouTube tonight. And Rich Sobel in the chat having a little bit to say about that contact there between the 6 and the number 56 down the back stretch. As Brentley Roden in the chat saying, yes, indeed, harpoondesign.com is the place to go for one of their paint schemes. So always got to give the sponsors a big shout out when they join us here in the chat on 3YTV. As the number 49, Mitchell Adams, he's on that loud pedal here, Garrett, getting us back underway. The battle will be for second, back behind them between Cannizzaro and Eisenman.
Mitchell switched lines again on us, Peter. Now he's taking the bottom again and letting them fight out for second place behind them as Jason Gracias making a move for fourth place, and we have a car into the wall. I believe that's Kerfon. Yeah, Kerfon with a big slide in the number 30. We will have to go back and see whether or not there was any contact there that kind of initiated that. Let's see if we can figure out what all happened there with driver of the number 30. This going back to the replay. Kerfon in the number 30 on the high line. There's Jason Gracias. Caution flag waves. We'll get this replay and then see what happened on the racetrack to bring out, I believe, our 5th caution flag of the night. No, Kerfon just kind of did it all by himself unless there was a little bit of net code. So that put him in the wall. Now let's see what brought out the caution flag. Looking a little bit further back in the pack. Oh, we had the 27, Stephen Ford in the wall. He comes off the wall straight down into his threat level midnight teammate. And unfortunately, Glenn Grimm in the 08 that we rode on board with there also caught up in that accident. Boy, is it frustrating when you and your teammates get into it, and it's never a good conversation you want to have. And obviously, this one wasn't intentional, but of all the people out there, you certainly don't want to run into your teammate, and we collected Glenn as well. Yeah, and the number 27 machine, he kind of just pulled it down right in front of one of the other cars there of Joshua Watt. Not sure if that was an issue with hardware failure or something like that, but there was definite contact. The 27 getting into the wall, the 04 getting into the wall, and then it was kind of on from there. Don't expect anyone to really come down pit road this time unless we have a driver with some damage. But we are now back live, and these are the scenes here at this racetrack. Garrett, let's see if we can dial up one of these drivers here tonight. We haven't been able to talk to any of these drivers out there. One of those drivers I'd be curious to get a quick word with is actually your race leader, Mitchell Adams. It's been smooth sailing for driver of the number 49 machine. Garrett, why don't I let you have a quick chat with the number 49 here tonight? Hey, Mitchell, it's Garrett up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
So, Mitchell, Peter and I are up here watching your dominance. You're really stinking up the show on us. Give us your point of view. How's the race going for you so far? And you plan on leading all these laps?
I plan on keeping it up here. I'm having a lot of fun out here. This track's a lot of fun. I'd only raced it once, and I didn't know really what to expect from it, but I've been able to get out front on that first restart and kept it up here. This Adams Racing 49's got really good pace here tonight. Just trying to keep doing what we've been doing.
Obviously, you've had the pace like you alluded to. Looking back in your mirror, do any of these guys have anything for you? Who's your closest competition?
I think Drew definitely has something for me. He's just about as fast as I am. It's just kind of about minding the gap back to him and try to keep him guessing on these restarts, which I'm about to have to do again.
Yeah, you keep switching lanes on us. You're making our job really hard, so I hope they do that to you tomorrow night. I think the lights are going to turn off here, so good luck, and we'll be watching.
Thank you.
All right, well, we will let Mitchell Adams get back to it, as sure enough, the pace car lights have turned off. Looks like he is going to take the high line for this upcoming restart here, Garrett. It will be 40 laps left here tonight at Lucas Oil Raceway Park when the green flag falls. So we are closing in on the late stages of this race. And he thinks that maybe Drew has something for him in the number 77 machine. We'll see. We'll see, sure enough, whether or not Drew can get alongside with the number 49 machine. And now Gracias is going to be starting to the outside of Cannizzaro. We've seen a lot of pace out of Gracias. 40 laps. Going to be an interesting run to the checkered flag.
Peter, I think patience is out the window as we're ready to go back green. We have Jason Gracias, John Cannizzaro, Philip Scott. Very aggressive drivers there behind these front two. So I don't think the excitement's over yet.
And it looks like Adams will lead him off into turn number 1. Eisenman going to slide up in front of the number 1 of Gracias. Gracias, though, to the outside of Cannizzaro. That's going to be the first side-by-side battle for position. Meanwhile, behind them, Brooks Westphal side-by-side with the number 99 of Philip Scott. Cannizzaro able to pull ahead of the number 1, but a big slide out of Brooks Westphal, and he's going to lose a couple of positions here to the 99, the 30, and here comes Race Clark, who has had 2 huge slides here tonight in the NASA number 6 machine as Kerfon hits the wall again. That number 30 really struggling on these last couple of restarts.
Yeah, a bit unexpected. He's usually so consistent and smooth out there. It seems like the set of tires isn't working for him out there as he's been sliding and getting a lot of that wall.
And now Race Clark, he's going to have to try and dig deep to find some of that groove that he had earlier. Meanwhile, back behind them, Jeffrey Vickery side-by-side, Corey Shellman in a battle now with Sobel. Sobel in the 56 going to go around the outside. Shellman might have had to check up as he was sliding up the racetrack, so moves Josh Sobel back up to 11th after being involved in that caution a couple of cautions ago now. So the 56 Harpoon Designs trying to harpoon his way up to the front, just harpoon on by everyone. Isn't that what you do in Apex Legends and those types of games? Anyway, field just kind of settling out just a little bit right now. I think we'll keep our eyes.
We have one sideways in the back, Peter.
Ooh, one sideways in the back. Who might that be? John Freeman, the 05 machine. Garrett, no, yep, caution flag is out. I was about to say no caution, but the caution has come out. Let's see what happened here to driver of the 04.
Well, as we go through another replay, it looks like it's just going to snap loose on him, Peter, and head towards that inside wall. And yep, that's exactly what happened. And oh, the rear end. It looked like he almost saved it, and looks like he's electing to toe the pit road. But just so you know, you're my favorite Freeman that we broadcast on 3 Wide TV, so keep your head up.
That's not a dig at another Freeman at all. I don't know if Jason's watching here tonight, but friendly banter, that's for sure, here on 3 Wide TV. On board here with John Freeman. Watch the hands. It just gets away from him right there coming out of turn number 4. Very easy to do on these racetracks. You have a lot of horsepower. The race car, the racetrack is very flat. You got all that horsepower trying to get the power down to the rear tires. Sometimes it can just step out from underneath you, and unfortunately, it did right there for the number 04 machine. Let's see if maybe under this caution flag, Garrett, if we can dial up our second place driver. We talked to him last week, and it ended up being the kiss of death. But let's see if we can get Drew Eisenman up here into the 3 Wide TV booth. Drew Eisenman, Peter Short, 3 Wide TV. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Peter.
Well, I'll tell you what, last week we had you up in the booth, and it was kind of the kiss of death because you were kind of made the wrong strategy call, but we know you're good to the end of the race this week on fuel, so that's the good news. But we've seen a lot of pace out of Cannizzaro here tonight. How are you going to track down that number 49 machine and get the job done?
I mean, I feel like Mitchell and myself are really similar on long run pace. We kind of trade tenths here and there. I'll close to like 7 tenths and he'll pull it back to a second. It'll kind of fluctuate back and forth. So I think if I can get in front of the 49, I think I have the pace to hold him off. He's going to have to make a mistake because I'm just not fast enough to get by him. I feel like I'm comfortably the second quickest car in the long run, but that 17 has a ton of short run pace.
Yeah, definitely. That number 49 able to get these restarts down pat, although it seems like you've been getting pretty good restarts in the number 77 machine here tonight. I know the 49's been trying to kind of catch you out, but you've been doing a good job of it. Is that restart zone pretty small here tonight?
No, it's huge. It's really hard to figure out what he's going to do. I would say I've struggled previously when I was just on monitors, but now that I'm running a VR set, you can just turn your head and watch him a little bit better and try to gauge it. But no, I mean, he's doing a good job. He's changing it up a little bit. He's not being really predictable. So, yeah, I'm just going to have to nail one of these restarts, and hopefully that'll be the difference maker.
Well, Drew, of course, we wish you best of luck this weekend, as you will not be in the booth here tomorrow night. So we'll definitely wish you best of luck in your schooling, your studies, your exams, and all of that stuff. Go out there and get a strong finish here tonight.
All right, thanks, Peter. There's 31 laps to go, and OU still sucks.
That is right. Number 77 of Drew Eisenman, folks. A fellow UT student. Well, I graduated from UT, but anyway, he's going to graduate from UT here quite soon, and always great to have him around. That is for sure. We'll let him get back to his team let him get back to his job here, Garrett, because the pace car lights are off, and we're about to get set to go back green with 30 laps to go.
That's why I love these in-race interviews. You can get in the heads of these racers. Mitchell Adams is worried about Drew. Drew knows what he has to do to get past Mitchell. We'll just see if either of them are able to put it into practice while they have to hold on to the rest of the field as well.
Yeah, Eisenman, another pretty good restart. He's going to clear the number 1 of Gracias, but here comes John Canizaro. We know the 17 has a lot of pace, but a little bit of a wiggle by the number 17 of Canizaro. They get back single file. Now look at Brooks Westfall and Philip Scott side by side. This is the battle for the 5th position, believe it or not. Westfall having a good night. Philip Scott has had a topsy-turvy night, has a big slide coming out of turn number 4 there. So Scott's going to have to drop back into 6th, and look who stuck himself now up into 7th. Grace Clark, who continues to climb up through the field right there behind Philip Scott.
Grace Clark and Philip Scott are two of those guys that are getting better as the laps wind down here. Westfall's been having a very consistent night, and he's been running about the same. Oh, big accident, Peter.
Yeah, big accident. The 99 slides out. Clark! My goodness, Clark almost got ran over like 20 times, but that puts us back under caution. It looked to me like Philip Scott might have come up the racetrack there into the number 6 machine. Let's see exactly what all happened here on the 3-wide TV replay to bring out the caution flag here inside 30 laps to go. Philip, right there, almost had the number 6 cleared in the center of the corner, but coming out of turn number 4, you see him start to drift up the racetrack here. Garrett, up. The car, the number 6 is there, puts the number 6 of Westfall, and Race Clark, who's just run of terrible, rotten luck in the NASA machine. Again, it strikes. That O2 just has a target on him, and the target isn't Mars or the moon. That O2 is going to lose all that track position again, just as we were saying. He's the highest he's been all night. Has to slide back. Let's go on board with Race Clark and see that he really had nowhere to go in this madness, although he had a front row view of this contact right here, G.
Peter, I'm just curious as to when you're going to run out of NASA puns. It's week, 4 or 5 here? And he just, every week it seems like he gets some air, and there was a beginning, a middle, and an end to that wreck out there. He was involved in all 3 elements.
Yeah, but he did kind of just get, spun around, maybe a little bit of a gravity assist on the O2 to get him pointing in the right direction. I'm sure he'd like to get a little bit of a gravity assist up to the front of the field as well, but right now the O2 machine is going to be well down in the field, down in the 11th position, running right now behind Corey Shellman in the number 9. But we'll see whether or not Race can work his way back after having topsy-turviness all night long here. We've seen him get as high as 7th, and all things considered, 11th isn't that far below 7th, so we still have time. That is what I am trying to say, but we are inside 25 laps to go here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park, the other racetrack in the Indianapolis area. Of course, home to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Brickyard. Well, Lucas Oil Raceway is not all too far away in the grand scheme of things, and it is a great little racetrack and has put on some good side-by-side racing here tonight for everyone joining us in the chat here on 3 Wide TV. And I just want to mention to everyone watching here tonight, we are now at 997 subscribers to the channel. At 997 subscribers, we're just 3 away from the 4-digit numbers of 1,000 subscribers. We cannot wait to hit it. It is going to be a momentous occasion. We have a special video here tonight, or not tonight, but whenever we hit that magic number of 1,000, we are going to have a special video, and it is going to be really cool. We're really looking forward to people enjoying that special video. It was made a couple months ago, so we've had it ready. We're just waiting on those 3 people. Those 3 more people. And speaking of 3, Rich Sobel in the chat saying, I predict 3 more cautions. Okay, William Kerwin saying that I guess someone in the chat is having problems maybe with the broadcast. Hopefully you can change the broadcast settings. We should be in 1080p, so you should be able to change it to full broadcaster, or to full HD, I should say. And Brantley Roden saying, who on here is not subscribed? I'm asking the same question. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do so here tonight. Drop a thumbs up as well. Green flag about to wave. Mitchell Adams going to the high line this time. Green flag waves. Eisenman cuts up after the start-finish line, importantly after the start-finish line, and he is going to retain second as now Jason Gracias to the outside. Garrett, he gets around Cannizzaro here, but can he hold on to it?
It's going to be quite the battle between Gracias and Cannizzaro for 3rd place, as it seemed like deja vu with the front 2 between Mitchell Adams and Drew Eisenman, 1st and 2nd. Time after time, Mitchell gets a good jump. But for those that are not subscribed, or if you're with somebody in your household that's not subscribed, go ask them politely if you could use their phone, whether it be your wife, your kids, your girlfriend, whoever, mother, father. Get their phone, subscribe to 3Y TV, because I want to see this video as much as anyone.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We really do appreciate all the love here on the channel. Meanwhile, Race Clark is again trying to shoot his way through the field. You know what they say about getting to space? It's hard, so you have to try and try again when you're in the testing phase. And Race Clark, Stephen Ford with a slide down there to the bottom side of the racetrack, and we will stay green flag. He's off the racing surface. Is still off the racing surface, having problems getting the power back underneath him. But now the caution flag comes out. I believe it is due to a different accident that actually happened kind of at the same time. Let's see what happened here to Alexander Kerfan. So all of a sudden, the threat level Midnight Machines losing some grip. We saw what happened to Ford, and now Kerfan goes around coming out of turn number 4. We've seen that a couple times here tonight.
Yeah, he's not the first one to fall victim to that wheel spin, I guess we could call it, out of turn 4. And, still surprising this late in the race that this is still going on.
Yeah, so there you saw Ford have his big slide. And then Kerfan, just all by himself, gets loose coming out of turn number 4 into the inside wall. And we have seen that happen here tonight, where some drivers have been able to save it and other drivers have not. So that time, however, unfortunately, not able to save it. Now we do have split strategies. How about this, Garrett? Drew Eisenman coming down pit road, taking on a fresh set of tires. We don't have a whole lot of laps to go. Eisenman, I think he said, you know what? I'm not going to beat Mitchell Adams by staying out there, but he's going to lose a ton of track position here. Goes from 2nd all the way back to 11th for this upcoming restart, but he is going to have 4 fresh tires on it. That will give him as much grip as he can get, but it's not an easy track to pass at.
Certainly not an easy track to pass at, but I think Drew realized that he was probably going to run 2nd if he kept doing what he was doing, because Mitchell has been so consistent on those restarts. I'm actually surprised that the whole field did not pit there for their last set of tires and leave Mitchell out there to dry. So, curious strategy call. Had he listened to us last week and taken fuel, he would have had a win, Peter, and he wouldn't have to worry about it this week. But we'll see how he makes his way through the field on those fresh tires.
Yeah, we will. It's going to be about 14 or so laps when we go back green. Of course, we could have some Beer Street Journal last calls as well. With the way caution flags have been coming out here tonight, that might be very possible. Let's just say we can have multiple attempts at the Beer Street Journal last call, so we can have the last call. That's how that works. We don't have overtime here in the National Sim Racing Association, but we do have Beer Street Journal last calls, which extend the race to the drop of the checker flag, hopefully under green flag conditions. So we will see how everything all sorts out here for the upcoming restart. I kind of wish I could see how much fall off there has been. Garrett, I don't know if you can do some sleuthing and bring up the laps counter here in an iRacing to see kind of what the fall off has been during these green flag runs that we have seen. But you have to think that your leader, Mitchell Adams, was last on pit road on lap number 99. So about 35 laps ago. We haven't run a whole lot of those laps under green flag. Could that work against the number 77 machine? I don't know, but the pace car lights continue to twinkle. Definitely an interesting event here in the race, as Adams so far has led every single lap. We will see if that continues all the way to the end of tonight's scheduled 150 laps. Pace car lights now off. It'll be a 13-lap shootout when we go back green to the finish. Adams, Gracias, then Canizaro, Philip Scott, and Brady Smith now finding himself inside the top 5 here, Gene.
And Peter, some of these guys, it's a wonder how they've gotten into the top 5 with the way their cars look and the way we've seen them sideways and upside down. Not literally, but upside down and backward, just for the most part. So it's going to be one heck of a finish, as my screen just went black, Peter, so you're going to have to do the call till I get it back on.
All right, hopefully your screen comes back here, G, but we are lining them up here for this restart. It is going to be one heck of a show. The 49 is on that loud pedal. Going to get an absolute huge jump as they go off into turn number 1. Meanwhile, very tight, almost 3 white there. Jeffrey Vickery to the outside of Brady Smith, and now just keeping my eyes on Drew Eisenman. He has worked his way now up to 10th, so he's only gained 1 spot since the drop of the green flag. There he is, and he gets wicked sideways coming out of turn number 4, and that's not going to help the driver of the 77. He's going to have to cool off those tires here as Josh Sobel in the 56 gets around him. Meanwhile, some great racing up towards the top 5 with Jeffrey Vickery currently in 5th, and looks like Race Clark sliding in front of Brady Smith. That's really tight. Meanwhile, Philip Scott has gotten around John Canizaro, so Scott now on the podium for the first time here tonight. And does Jason Gracias have something for Mitchell Adams, as Adams runs the fastest lap of the race at 22.64. Garrett, the lap count is winding down, and the action is heating up.
I'm back, Peter, and the action definitely is heating up, and Drew Eisenman is heating up those tires as he got spun, and then more chaos, Peter. We just can't go without it here, especially off of turn 4.
Yeah, Eisenman going to be absolutely kicking himself. Gets back there in the pack, a little bit of contact. Let's see how this all went down. Stephen Ford back there. They were battling for around the 10th position here on 3-wide TV. This is the slow motion replay. Let's go up to the blimp cam. You see Eisenman going down. The 27's definitely going up. I think Eisenman tried to drive up the racetrack to avoid the 27 machine, and then the 27 and the 77, they kind of just keep coming together. Both of those drivers, it's just coming together. Sobel tried to avoid it. Corey Shellman impaling the 77. A couple of other drivers, the 23 getting in there. A couple of other drivers coming in there late. But that puts us back in the green flag, under 10 laps to go. And Eisenman going to be back in 13th. Remember, he was in 2nd when he elected to come down pit road. He's going to be one unhappy camper. Looks like that strategy not going to work out for him. He has the pace. We saw the pace last week at Texas. We saw the pace again here tonight. I think it's only a matter of time until Drew Eisenman gets a win to punch his ticket into the playoff format that they have here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. But man, he's going to be kicking himself after having another strong night. It looks like going awry late in the show.
Yeah, I concur with you on that, Peter. He's definitely going to get himself a win before the season is over with. 2 bad luck weeks for Drew in a row here. Hopefully he doesn't get discouraged and he sticks with it. And we'll see him in victory lane sooner rather than later. And if the lights don't go off, maybe we could get a word with Jason Gracias and see what his strategy is coming up here, Peter.
Well, let's see if we can dial up Jason Gracias. Garrett, here he is. Why don't you take it away? Driver number 1.
Hey, Gracias, Garrett up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep. What's up, buddy?
Hey, we just wanted to know your strategy. Hasn't been the cleanest race for your Force India car out there. Do you have anything for Mitchell? And what's your strategy these last few laps?
I'm going to spin him and turn him into a twister.
Well, thank you for letting us know before it happened so we have some excitement. But you kept the fenders on. Do you seem to have good pace out there with all the damage?
No. Honestly, I need the tires to wear for this car to come in. On fresh tires, I'm bouncing off of oil temp, so it's going to be risky. I don't know if I have anything special on initial fire off is when I need to make a move. If I can't do it then, it's just survive, I guess.
Well, good luck. No matter what, we know you'll put on a heck of a show. I'll let you get back to it and give it hell.
Yeah, I'm trying to be like you and get a win, so maybe it'll happen. If it doesn't, I hope I made the boys proud.
Man, Garrett, he says he's trying to be like you. That's really high marks.
Well, flattery's not going to get him anywhere. I mean, he's already running the Grand National Series next season. I can't give him anything else. I don't have any body parts he might want, so let's just stick to racing, Gracias. I consider you a good friend and our team leader, and that's it, all right? I'm not letting you move in with me anytime soon.
Well, there you go, folks. Could be some interesting flattery. Trying to get as much as Gracias can get, I guess, from you there, G. But Gracias going to be restarting to the inside of Mitchell Adams, who has chosen the high line for this restart. We're going to have a 4-lap shootout here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. Adams, who's dominated this race, could he end up losing it? Canizzaro's going to be starting to the outside of Philip Scott, so reverse of where they were last time. And look who's in 6th spot. The driver who has been up and down to Mars and back here tonight, Race Clark. Unbelievable. Maybe he could get a top 5. Wouldn't that be something? Green flag waves. Adams on the loud pedal early. Canizzaro gets a fantastic jump to the outside now of the Force India number 1 machine as they have 4 more laps to go. Looks like Watt trying to stay down there on the one side. There's a car around in the back, and Canizzaro gets loose coming out of turn number 2. But looks like the caution flag was waving due to an accident at the back of the pack. Brady Smith, we're hearing, oh, that's not the replay button. Here we go. This is the replay button. I saw a yellow number 10 around back there. Let's see what happened with the number 10 machine. And, just gets up into the 08 of Glenn Grimm. Glenn comes down and boink, 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 and double boink. And nothing runs like a deer. And that number 10 will continue to run. But unfortunately, there was that little bit of contact. And I think this is going to have to take us going up to the blimp cam here, G, to figure out what went down.
Yeah, Peter, on my first glance, I don't think the 08 was too thrilled with being used up there in the corner. The old 8 tires are better than 4 mentality does work, but if the person you run into isn't happy, it might come back to haunt you. And that's kind of what I see here, Peter, unless you see something different.
Well, this is kind of an interesting situation. I don't think Glenn Grimm had any malice in coming back down the racetrack. I just think that he bounced off the safer barrier and it just kind of absorbed that energy and spat it back at the number 08. Let's see if we can get another look at this one. I think, here we go, on board with Brady Smith. We're going to have to watch, and this is what we always do here. We always break it down here in the 3-wide TV replays and say, okay, who's coming down the racetrack? Brady Smith, he's going up the racetrack here just a little bit. And I think that's where the contact is made. And you'll see the 08 of Glenn Grimm just go up into the wall. But this might be an interesting replay to watch from Glenn Grimm's perspective. So let's go back a little bit. Not that far back. Here we go. This should tell the story. Watch. I think Glenn might have bounced off the wall there, and then he comes down. He might be sliding a little bit there, and they just have it coming together. I think that might be just 2 drivers ending up in the same spot on the racetrack. Brady might have been judging where Glenn Grimm was, maybe off of the cars in front, because Glenn was a little bit lower than the likes of Race Clark out there, and just two drivers ending up together, bouncing off one another, and unfortunately, two drivers a little bit more tore up towards the end of the race.
Peter, I was as we were going through that replay, in my head I was wondering if John Cannizzaro was scored in second position, and it looks like iRacing has determined that he is the second place car. So he was able to make a pass on that very short green flag, and maybe that's all he needs to give Mitchell Adams a run here. But is this a Beer Street Journal last call, Peter?
It is a Beer Street Journal last call. You took the words out from underneath me. It is the first Beer Street Journal last call here in the National Sim Racing Association BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series. Should be interesting to see what this first attempt at the Beer Street Journal last call has to give us. And of course, if you're joining us for the first time here tonight, last call to hit that subscribe button to get us a little bit closer to the magical 1,000. Just checking on in to see if we've got another subscriber. We've got one more. We're down to just two. 2 laps to go here and 2 subscribers left to 1,000. So Jason Freeman in the chat here. Jason, you were not here earlier for what was going on earlier and what Garrett had to say. You'll have to go back and watch the replay for that if you weren't here for that. But Garrett, first attempt at the Beer Street Journal last call here coming up as the pace car is on pit road.
Another great start for Mitchell Adams as he looks to put some distance between himself and the chaos behind him. But he's looking to see that white flag, Peter, and anything else is going to be a disappointment.
And look at Philip Scott. Somehow, someway, the National Ninja League guy has just snuck his way up into possibly second like a ninja as Gracias gets into the back of the 99. He will now slide back to third, but still ninja-like for Philip Scott as the yellow flag is out. Let's see what happened back here towards the back of the pack. Hearing it might involve Glenn Grimm and potentially even Drew Eisenman again. Coming down the backstretch as the 77 looks to the inside of the 08. The 08 comes down. I don't think he realized Eisenman was there, and they go around. So caution flag. Looks like we're going to have another Beer Street Journal last call.
Yeah, certainly. Another last call, another restart. We've had a lot of restarts, and Mitchell Adams has been perfect on almost every one of them as we're taking another look at Drew just trying to rebound from the strategy call and the bad night. Is just going to get under the 08 as the 08's making the corner, and let's see what happens. Yep, just hooked them. It's just a racing deal, Peter, from my point of view.
Yeah, same here. I mean, the 77 had the run. He looked underneath him. The 08, I don't think ever got the spotter call that the 77 was down below him. He tried to chop that off, and when he tried to chop that off, he went around. In fact, really, the 08 might have been slideways on entry into the corner. We'll see if we can go on board here with Glenn Grimm and just listen to the tires here, folks. Let's watch the steering wheel inputs. Drew Eisenman's right on him at this point. He gets into the corner. He does a little bit of counter steer there. You just got a little glimpse of some counter steer. And I just wonder if, even if he did know Eisenman was down there, whether or not he even had enough control of the car with the back end sliding around to even control it. But unfortunately for those two drivers, that is going to be some late race heartbreak. But up at the front of the field, Mitchell Adams, another late race heartbreak because he's going to have to do this all again. Of course, it's not that heartbreaking. He's still your race leader after leading every single lap here tonight. But the Beer Street Journal last call here coming up in the BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series.
Nothing like 2 last calls, getting your second round in before you leave. And hey, we could even do one more if these guys don't play nice. But Peter, it's been a pleasure working with you on Thursday. I see that Jason Freeman and Stay Tuned Sports, Jimbo, have put a petition on change.org to remove me as the color commentator for this series in favor of Steven Doziak. So I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure.
Yikes. That is a big yikes, I have to say. There, Garrett. I don't think I'll let that happen. I'll set up a change.org petition to reverse that call if that change.org petition goes through, and then the reverse petition, and then we'll get into a petition war And no one enjoys that. Someone will give up, and maybe you'll be ousted. I don't know, because I don't know if I have the energy to fight a petition war. But anyway, all things considered, Matt Jerry in the chat now joining us, saying his night ended early. They will go get him next week. And, you know, before we go back green here, Garrett, just going to bring up next week here in the National Sim Racing Association, because we got some great races coming up here over the next couple of weeks here in the Deer Street Journal Grand National Series. Of course, next week we go to Pocono, the Tricky Triangle, then Sonoma, Atlanta, Martinsville, Talladega, Richmond. They are all fun, but we're going to see who's going to win here tonight. G, we're about to see the green flag fall, hopefully for the final time here tonight.
And Mitchell Adams leaves them in the dust again, Peter, as he heads off into turn 1, side by side for second place between Gracias and Canizaro. And Canizaro might be a little bit sideways there, but he hangs on to it.
Yeah, Canizaro going to slide back to third. And looks like Philip Scott's going to slide back to fourth. Josh Sobel now inside the top 5. How about that? Race Clark in sixth. We are still green. We are still green. Will we see the white flag? Looks like yes, we will. So that means the next flag will be the checker, and Mitchell Adams has just 2 more corners to go wire to wire here tonight. Been so impressive for the number 49 machine. No battle for second, although Philip Scott with a lunge down to the bottom side of the racetrack, almost taking out John Canizaro, but it's all for naught. Adams wins at Lucas Oil Raceway Park, and they're wrecking. Here comes Ledoux in the 12, going sliding on through, and my goodness, they're wadding him up. They're still wadding him up. We're stacking him up in turn number 1 here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. My goodness, just wads and wads and wads and wads and wads of race cars here tonight.
Some of these guys are probably a little upset that Mitchell Adams decided to come out of his semi-retirement from this league to make one of his starts here, because Jason Gracias was would have won. Drew Eisenman maybe would have played a different strategy and won, but you can't take anything away from Mitchell Adams. He dominated this race, Peter, and it's a well-deserved victory.
Yeah, that is for sure. The number 49 machine going to do burnouts here on the front stretch. John Canizaro in the number 17, who is kind of the regular season winner here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park, if you will, as Adams is not eligible to complete the entire season. So I don't know if we'll get to see Mitchell Adams out there on the racetrack any other time this season here as he blows the motor in celebration. But if he doesn't get to go back out there on the racetrack, he might be 1 race, 1 win here this season. So that might be kind of a kind of a cool thing for him and that number 49 machine. But of course, as with all race results, these races are unofficial until we are told it is actually official. I'm sure the admins will go back and review this race in its entirety after these results here tonight. So just looking to see if we can get some post-race interviews lined up for you folks with the top 3 finishers here tonight. I think we've pretty much already all talked with them except for John Canizaro. Let's see if we can dial up tonight's 3rd place finisher, driver of the number 17 of John Canizaro. John Canizaro, Peter Short, 3Y TV booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, it was kind of an interesting night for you here tonight in the number 17. You had some early contact, went well back. You worked your way up. Seems like you passed more cars out there on the racetrack with those cautions there towards the end of the race. I don't know if they worked in your favor or against you, but we'll let you hear what you have to say about that. But all things considered, great run for you in the 17 tonight.
Yeah, those cautions actually hurt a lot more than they helped me. I kept getting stuck in the bottom, and I couldn't get around Gracias to save my life. Other than that, it was a good race. Me and Mitchell did win some team burnouts down there. I told him we could do those after the race, so that's pretty fun. It was a good race. I said apologize to Drew for the contact in 1. He didn't say anything back. Hopefully we're still good with that. I know we have some unfortunate past. It was a good day, though.
Well, 3rd place for you here tonight, and a really good run for you. Like I said, next week we go to the Tricky Triangle Pocono Raceway. What are your thoughts of Pocono?
We're going to have to say I haven't never ran these cars at Pocono before.
Well, I guess you'll find out next week just how you like these cars at Pocono. How about that? But all things considered, a great race for you here tonight. You're off to, a pretty decent start to the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series season. Going to be a lot of fun seeing you go forward. But before we let you go, any shout-outs?
I got to shout Garrett Gleason for lending me the cheating. I mean, there's no cheating motor in the car. Anyways, Mitchell Adams, me and him sit in the voice call cracking jokes all day. It's pretty fun when he's helping with strategy, so I got a big shout out to him. Simshots Racing, he gets to help me all the time. They let me tag along, and I think we have some controversy on the restart.
All right. Well, that could be interesting. We will let you go there, John. We will talk to you here in a little bit, perhaps.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Garrett. I saw you jump up there to the admin booth. I'm not sure if you're hearing anything, but we're hearing there might be some late race issues with that last restart.
Yeah, Peter, I just received word from Justin White, the series director, that upon that last restart, the 49 of Mitchell Adams did not maintain proper pace speed. He was about 10 miles an hour over from the administrator's discretion. And I believe that will hand over the win or the first place until review to Jason Gracias. So as with everything, Peter, you and I are not here to play politics or that we are just do what we're told. And right now I am being told that Mitchell Adams did not maintain proper pace speed on that last restart.
So you're hearing that he was too fast. Is that correct?
That's correct. About 10 miles an hour over proper pace speed. Peter, if you'd like to pull it up on the replay.
So this is it. I mean, I can't. I unfortunately can't bring up his speed that he was going at that time. But you see that he got a huge jump on that final restart. And let's just go back and see if we can see maybe even a little bit more and see if we can just kind of gather whether or not he sped up, because this is behind the pace car right here. You can see the pace car is going pace speed. You can see the 49's going on maybe a little bit, and it's really hard to tell without a reference of, you see, I think he might have sped up a little bit. It's really hard to tell. Obviously, he jumps early. That is going to be an interesting call. It is an interesting call right there. It's kind of, some people would argue it's at leader's discretion on when to go, but obviously the leader cannot change really speed until they elect to go. I suppose I'll have to go back and reread the NSRA rules here tonight. So that could be interesting. So that will elevate Jason Gracias to our race win. Let's see if we can get a word with an interesting turn of events here at Lucas Oil Raceway Park. So we will start, we'll actually get a quick word here with Philip Scott, who is now our third place finisher. Garrett, to take it away with Philip.
Hey, Philip, you had quite the run out there. It seemed like you started off a bit slow towards the back, and then you steadily worked your way through the field. Just give us the breakdown of how your night went and how you wound up in the third position when all was said and done.
Yeah, it was a very fun race. Very interesting. I turn a little aggressive when it comes to plate races, but also short tracks. So I kind of, especially with the way this track is, it kind of demands aggressiveness, because the high line is the way to go, and the only way to get passes done is to either get them loose and put pressure on them and make them wiggle to the inside and take the run on the outside, or just do a slider. That happened. So I started out, I decided I did one decent lap in qualifying, and then I didn't really practice at all. I was out I was out working out until it got dark, and so I came in and I'm like, oh yeah, that the Xfinity series is tonight, and I haven't done one this season yet, and I'm like, okay, and I didn't practice at all, and so I had a bad qualifying. I hit the wall, and then my second lap was bad, so I'm just like, whatever, let's just start at the back. And so I kind of just took my time, feeling it out, everything. Then I just I had a little oopsie with the 27, which brought out the first caution. I think it was a racing incident, and then yeah, it was totally on accident. And then it ended up being inconsequential because he was in front of me like a restart later, and it wasn't a big deal. And then me battling with the 6. I tried to. It was just 2 people fighting for the same spot. I thought I cleared him, and we both went into the wall. It is what it is.
Well, Philip, you had a good run out there. You seem to have got better as the race went on, as you steadily improved from your lack of practice. Next week we're headed to Pocono, just briefly, because I know we have a lot of stuff to go through here in the booth with the win. Briefly, your thoughts on Pocono and any shout-outs you'd like to give.
Yeah, I usually go on a long diatribe when I'm going over my races. So yeah, it's all good. Yeah, it felt really good out there, and I feel good about Pocono. That's one of my favorite tracks. So very hyped about that, and a shout out to National Ninja League. Of course, my sponsor, my employer, and yeah, we're just season's full swing. So yeah, check us out at nationalninja.com. Thanks.
Thanks, Philip, for the interview. Good run tonight. Hope you have another good run tomorrow. Let's see who Peter Short's caught up with.
Yeah, 10-4. Thanks.
Yeah, I could be caught up with a couple of different people here, but I'm actually in Victory Lane with Jason Gracias, who has been elevated to Victory Lane here tonight as the race winner. Jason unofficially led 0 laps here tonight, and you end up in Victory Lane. Tell us about your run.
Well, first and foremost, shout out to Mitchell for coming back and leading every lap and having the unofficial win. It stinks that a rule nipped him, but I guess rules are rules. The rule nipped me, so I guess I got one back from the one I lost. But all in all, fun race, I guess. Got into some trouble early on. I guess made some enemies, but overall had a good run. I think on the long run, I was flying in that teared up number 1 MaxGrafix Force India car, as you guys call it.
Yeah, it definitely was a lot of pace out there. Started at the back of the field. We said earlier that this was going to be a racetrack that was hard to pass, but you were able to make plenty of passes. It was a long race, and you slowly but surely crept your way up through the field. Kind of talk us through how much patience you had to have out there tonight.
Yeah, you had to have a lot. I mean, this track can be, I guess, multi-groove, but you have to trust the people around you to make it work. Like racing with John Canizaro and the 30 car of Alexander. I know we were able to make it too wide in a couple moments during the race, but I guess most of the contact I had is from me not being used to racing with a few guys, not understanding, I guess, their breaking point from lap to lap, and I guess not giving them enough room going into the turn. So it's a learning experience, and we'll take it on the chin and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a really good night for you getting that win. Like you said, kind of getting one back after losing one earlier this season at the Nashville Fairgrounds. But getting that win, punching your ticket into the playoffs, that is for sure going to be interesting to see what next week at Pocono Raceway holds. Is that there's been lots of twists and turns so far this season. What are your thoughts about the Tricky Triangle?
Pocono's a fun track. I guess the guys who are good at road courses should do well there. It's more momentum and understanding where your breaking point is lap in and lap out. So I expect people like Philip Scott to come out and do really well. Drew Eisenman should do extremely well as well, because he's a good road racer from what I know. So should be interesting, should be competitive, should be a lot less yellows. I mean, that track is like, what, 5 lanes wide. So should be fun. Should probably will become a field mileage race. So we'll see how it turns out. I had a fairly good run over TNR there. So hopefully I can carry that success over here.
Well, Jason, definitely going to be a lot of fun next week. Maybe less controversy next week. Maybe less storylines. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of fun, as always, here in the National Sim Racing Association Grand National Series, brought to you by friends Man, I'm saying over and over and over and over and over. And yeah, and I kind of get stuck in the loop. Over at thebeerstreetjournal.com. Going to be a lot of fun. Before we let you go, Jason, any shout-outs?
Yeah, shout out to Justin White and the admin team here for putting together this Thursday night Grand National Series. Thanks to Beer Street Journal for coming on as a presenting sponsor. Thanks to Chris Darling and MaxGrafix for the awesome paint schemes that I drive week in and week out across the multiple leagues, whether it's TNR, NSRA, or fixed races. Chris makes sure that my cars look good, so check them out on Facebook at MaxGrafix or maxgraphics.co. Thank you to you and Peter, you and Garrett and 3Y TV for broadcasting these races. I know it's a big toll on you to do all these broadcasts back to back, but it's really high quality. I look forward to all the 3Y TV broadcasts, even that aren't the leagues I race in. So just thanks to everyone who makes this happen.
Absolutely. Well, it's a lot of fun here on 3Y TV. Best of luck next week at Pocono there, Jason.
Thank you. Hopefully we put on a good show again.
All right, that's going to do it with Jason Gracias. We'll let him go celebrate his win here tonight. We are going to bring in the head race official, driver of the number 2 machine as well, Justin White. See if we can get a quick word with Justin. Justin, talk us through that final race result. Of course, all of these races are unofficial until the post-race review has been completed to make sure there hasn't been any key advantages gained, especially in these late race restarts. We saw it a couple of weeks ago at Nashville Fairgrounds, but here again tonight, a late race restart issue appears to have brought the winner to his knees.
Yes, sir. Upon the quick review that I did after the race was over on that last restart, the 49 unfortunately is required. The leader is required to maintain a plus or minus 5 miles an hour of the pace speed, which is set by the pace car at 50 miles an hour. Well, when the pace car pulled off the racing surface, the 49 had a choice of when he wanted to go all the way up until the flagman waved the green. The 49 did not maintain 5. He was actually up to almost 62 miles an hour through the corner on the outside before he decided to finally fully go out of the exit of 4. So that kind of strung the field out, giving him a slight advantage. I can't blame the cars behind him for trying to keep that gap maintained to get a good restart. But the leader was required to hold that 5 plus 5 or minus 5, and he did not. So unfortunately, he will not be awarded the win this evening.
That is definitely unfortunate for Mitchell Adams. Rules are there to give everyone a fair, a fair playing ground, and it sounds like it is felt as if he was receiving an unfair advantage by speeding up, and unfortunately, it sounds like that win will be taken away. So that is a shame. But Justin, I don't envy your position, that's for sure.
Well, I don't enjoy taking wins away from guys. I don't. But at the same time, there's a limit. I mean, the rules, like you said, are in place. If he was 6 and then back to 5, 6 back to 5, I'm not going to penalize anybody for that. But when you're talking, 5 over the limit, and we already give 5, so you're talking 10 miles an hour over pace speed until you decide to restart. Even NASCAR would black flag you for, not maintaining a consistent pace for the restart, and just rolling it up to your speed. It just does not count. So, congratulations to Mr. Gracias, and it's unfortunate for Mitchell Adams. And like I said, I don't take pleasure in doing this, but like I said, rules are rules.
Absolutely. Well, Justin, we'll let you get back to reviewing the race. I'm sure there are other things that you're going to have to review here tonight after this one, and hopefully we talk to you on better terms next week at Pocono.
Yes, sir. Hopefully. Appreciate you guys putting the broadcast on, and appreciate everybody else listening and tuning in, and guys come out and race. It makes it fun, and especially when you're having to kind of roll around, keep things rolling. So we appreciate everybody tuning in and watching and racing.
All right. Well, that is going to do it with our post-race interview with Justin White. They're explaining the post-race penalty that has been handed out to the driver who went across the line first here tonight, Mitchell Adams. Let's see if we can bring up the post-race results. Now, these were the unofficial post-race results. Unfortunately, I have no ability to adjust them kind of in post. But so every driver that you see will be given a spot if they finish on the lead lap. So we will try and sort that out for you. So Jason Gracias in the number 1 will be elevated to first, picking up his first win of the season. John Cannizzaro Jr. will finish second. Philip Scott in third. Joshua Sobel in the 56 finishes fourth. How about that? Definitely sticking it out. Same thing with Race Clark. He's going to finish with a top 5 here tonight after being involved in 3 or 4 accidents. I'm not exactly sure. Shane Ledoux finishing in 6th. Jeffrey Vickery 7th. Stephen Ford in 8th. Eisenman will finish in 9th. Brooks Westfall will be elevated up to 10th there, Garrett.
Corey Shulman comes home in 11th. Brady Smith in 12th. Glenn Grimm in 13th. Alexander Kerfon, who showed some speed early and had some bad luck, comes home in 14th. Joshua Watt gets himself a top 15, 1 lap down. Justin White and Travis White started side by side, and they'll finish side by side in 16th and 17th position.
Well, just to go back a little bit, we believe that Adams' penalty will drop him to the last car on the lead lap. So we think Kerfon will still finish 15th, Watt still 16th, White 17th and 18th. So we think Adams will be slotted into 14th, and everyone in front of 14th will be elevated a spot. So that's how that math, I think, will work out. We'll have to wait till the results go official midweek for that all to sort out. But going on to the next page, these drivers having struggles. John Freeman finishing 19th, Ben Mashburn 20th, Matt Cherry, winner of 2 races this season, finishing 21st, and of course Garrett Gleason alongside me up here in the booth. But crazy wild night here tonight for all these drivers. Again, drama in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. I'm starting to think, you know how they say TNT knows drama? I'm starting to think 3 Wide TV. I think we know drama too, G.
Drama, buddy, and the suspense as we get towards 1,000 subscribers. Let's make it happen by tomorrow, everyone. And I'm looking forward to Pocono, Peter. I dug a hole in the yard for you to sleep in, and you're welcome to come over at any time and prepare for the race.
That sounds a little ominous. I don't know if I would like to sleep below the ground. You know, who knows? Someone might be out there, someone trying to get after me. Who knows? But hey, we have a lot of fun up here in 3 Wide TV. That is for sure, Garrett, and great having you alongside me here in the booth. We will see you guys next week, Thursday night, October 14th at 8:30 Eastern Time for more NSRA Beer Street Journal Grand National Series action from Pocono Raceway. Until then, folks, stay safe. Have a good night. We shall see ya.